Hi guys, got a few little updates, so I thought I'd share. So first of all, you might notice that the world looks very different if you saw the last few videos. Got these little particle effects floating around. Hopefully they're going to show up on the recording. They're quite small, and yeah, I've changed like the color grading a little just to give it a more nasty feel. I'm going to talk through that in a bit, exactly why I've done that and what my thought process is. I'm probably going to ramble on a little bit in this video. Hope you don't mind. So let's have a play. Hang on. Let's start that again. Got something interesting going on here. Sorry if you're watching this in a dark room, that probably hurt your eyes. So I started building my firing range. Still work in progress. I want these target dummies to be able to move, so we can have like a barrier across here, a table, and you shoot at them, and I'm gonna have a little button so you can move them for different ranges. But it's a good start. I'll show you that effect again. The actual material I'm using to spawn everything in this world. Just then, I can't take credit for that. I'll link the tutorial I followed in the description. The guy that made it, he's got so many interesting and weird and wonderful materials on his channel. Is well worth taking a look at. And for the most part, he explains them quite well. I like tutorials that tell you why everything's been done. So why you're using this node and what it does exactly. And you can go away and use them in your own way then. And towards the start of the video, he does do that quite a lot, but I think he loses track towards the end and just puts nodes in and tells you what to type in and stuff. But no, he's got some great stuff on his channel, so I'll definitely link that. And this is one of his materials. I've just used it in my own unique way. That's all. It's the same material that's on these guys as well. They don't spawn in from the bottom like this does. It kind of does it from the center, but I just created an instance and changed a couple of parameters, and it worked fine. So let's show you a couple of things we got. You'll notice that the aim is completely off. So I've got to work on that. I know what the issue is. It's just I couldn't bring myself to mess with it at the moment. It's a bit of a pain, but it's an easy fix. So there's some damage numbers. So this bullet is doing 10 damage. These have 100 health. And they die in a pretty decent, dramatic way, I think. I quite like that. So that material changes the parameters on a timeline. So when they're spawning in the world, you play the timeline one way, and when I'm killing them, it just reverses that timeline. So nice and simple. The floating numbers, they're just it's just a widget attached to a static mesh that's got physics enabled, and when you shoot, you spawn one. It has a little impulse on it as well, so, and some random floats in range, so it kind of flies off in random directions. I'm going to change it though, because I would like it to spawn at the top of his head rather than at his feet. I don't think that's quite right at his feet. I'm probably not going to use it in the game anyway. I don't think it's going to suit the aesthetics. I do like watching that. So yeah, the world, I've changed the look of it. So yeah, this is where I start rambling. I was watching a video on YouTube not so long back. I've watched a few of them in this series actually. It's a computer game post-mortem, and I'll link the specific one I'm going to talk about in the description. But all of them are well worth a watch. If you haven't seen them or heard of them, it's game devs, and they just talk through a game that they've made and what problems they faced, how they overcome those problems, various design choices. Yeah, it's really good. There's one on the original Baldur's Gate, and the one I'm going to talk about a little bit now is Slime Rancher. If you haven't seen or played Slime Rancher, it's basically a slime farming game. There's these slimes that exist in the world. You've got to collect them, breed them to make new and weird and wonderful slimes. And I think it was created by just one guy initially. I can't quite remember. It might be one or two. And he talks through his game and some reasons behind some design choices, and he says a lot of them. The main reason why his game is about slimes is because he knows his limitations. And normally I'll have a YouTube video on my second monitor while I'm messing around on something else, but that kind of made me perk up and listen. So I paid a lot of attention to it. It was a really good speech, basically, he knew that, well, I'm a lone developer. I can't create GTA 5. I can't do some crazy big MMO. So what are my limitations? And instead of having my limitations as a negative, let's have my limitations create some design choices for me and use them as a positive. So it's like, well, he's not a great 3D modeler, so let's not have any complicated 3D models in the world. Let's make them a slime that bounces around. He's got no voice actors, so let's just have one person on their own on this planet farming slimes. And it goes through step by step all his limitations and all the things he come up with, and how the game evolved based on those limitations. And I've always remembered that. I always thought that was a really good way of thinking. I've seen I'm on the Unreal Slackers Discord, and I've seen in some other places as well where you've got people that want to build like the next Red Dead Redemption, or EVE Online, or some big MMO, and they're working on their own. And their ambition's great, and I respect that, but you're not going to do it. So if you're one of those people, have a chat with yourself, get real. It's not going to happen, not on your own. So I went through and thought about my limitations before starting this project, and so first of all, I've got all the same limitations as any other person that's building a game on their own. I can't build a massive, alive, open world like GTA. I just don't have the resources for that. I can't create all those models, all those animations, rig all those meshes, all those sounds and everything. Impossible to do that, mate. So I need to set a scale. I can create something big, but it's not necessarily going to be big and alive like a city is within GTA 5. Also, limitations that exist for the vast majority of people that work on their own is that you're not going to be creating an MMO. You're not going to have the finances necessarily to rent out a server that's good enough to host 1,000 people online, along with creating that MMO and then marketing it so there's actually people playing it. Because if you've got 5 people on it, like on your MMO, it's not actually massively multiplayer anymore, is it? So there's another limitation. So I went through and thought about all the limitations that everyone has, and then I looked inward. So what specific limitations do I have as a person? What am I not good at? What can't I do? And I think it's a very good thing to do in general in life anyway, but for game purposes, I've done it, and you've got to be very honest with yourself. And so I'm not very good at animations. I'm not very good at creating 3D models that, what would the word be? Humans and animals and things like that. I can't do that. I can. I've sculpted out some half decent faces and bodies for humans, and they've looked pretty good. But it takes me so long that if I wanted to create a game with multiple different people in that game that look different, it'd take me forever just to create the people, never mind the game. So there's a limitation. I'm not very good at rigging models for animation. I'm not very good at putting a skeleton in them. So there's a limitation. So what am I going to do with those limitations to start with? Well, I'm going to build a game with robots. So that solves the problem of not being able to craft a human, and it also solves the problem about me not being able to rig a character, because robots are really easy to rig. There's not much that bends on them. As long as you get the joints in the right place, you just weld a particular mesh to a particular bone. It's easy. So that gets me around those limitations. So that's one of the reasons why I'm having a world full of robots and nothing that's alive. And also, I've started, instead of having those limitations as a negative, let's make them make some more game choices. So the visuals. I've tried to make kind of like I want it to look like ash particles floating around in the atmosphere. I've made it so the sun's really small, it's barely getting through the dust in the atmosphere. I've made all the colours really bland, because there's not a lot of sunlight getting through, and back in history when the sunlight did get through, it was massively strong and it's bleached all the colours. I can show you these colours. This is actually bright orange. Post-process volume, and I need to search for LUT, I think. So scale this down. That's the actual colour of this object. So actually it looks quite nice. It's all bright, but I don't want it to look nice. I want there to be a reason that there's nothing alive in my world. Letting my limitations dictate the look of the game. So I want it to look inhospitable for living things. I want it to look like a nasty place to live. So that's kind of where I'm going with the look of it. Hopefully soon I can start building like an actual area of the world to start, I don't know, crafting something a bit nicer to look at than this bloody box. But for now it will do. I've got more important things to do than the visual stuff, really. But I'm causing damage to stuff. So what I do want to do next is probably have some enemies running around, because it's all nice shooting at these dudes and watching them despawn and watching the numbers fly out, but it would be nice to have an actual battle. The reason why I've got so many of them is I've been thinking about, and I was just about to do it actually, working on like a resistance stat. So some enemies are more resistant to damage than others. So your basic grunts won't have a resistance, and they'll be getting hit for 10, and then the next level up for that might have like a 10% resistance, so they'll get hit for 9. So yeah, I might do that. As always, any questions, leave them in the comments. If there's anything you want me to go over that you see on screen now in a bit more detail, then let me know and I'll do a little video on it. There's some stuff that I can't really do a tutorial on. I can't do a tutorial on my inventory system because it's too huge, and I understand every little step of it, but as a whole, I don't. So it took me that long to do and that many revisions, and I started again so many times that I probably couldn't accurately go through that with you. But anything else, yeah, let me know and I'll see if I can help. All right, thanks for watching. Bye.